Alright, so we're back, and I'm just gonna let these guys play. This is two other players going to town. I've got the graveyard extended and whatnot. But alright, back to where we were. Talking about miracles. So you had this deck that, or the show and tell decks, that's where we're going. Like, everybody's comparing Omniscience to Dream Halls and saying that Dream Halls is better. In reality, I mean, the difference that we all overlooked, and where, like, I am definitely guilty because I thought that card was terrible. I thought that if you weren't playing Dream Halls, you had some type of mental disorder. Um, what we overlooked was the amount of cards that needed to go into it. Like, you look at the combo, you had four conflux, some number of command or ultimatums and other things, and it's like you had like 8 to 9, 10 cards going into this single combo for this single thing. Whereas now it's like with Omniscience, you just need to show and tell it into play, yeah. But you've got essentially 7 show and tells if you're running the Burning Wish version. If you're running the one with Rector, you've got even more most likely. So, like, you weren't in any way, shape, or form like hurting for anything. You were up on the world. So that's where we made that mistake, and that's where that deck took everybody by surprise. But I mean, it still has the same issues, the same different problems, and that it's very vulnerable to discard, not counter spells. And that was something that caught a lot of people by surprise because they didn't understand that. It didn't make any sense to them. How could something be allergic to discard? And by allergic I mean like sensitive to, but not counter spells. And the reason was because it was playing counter spells itself. On top of that, it was playing more. It's easier to win a counter war when all of the counters are free and you have more of them. Like, yeah, you needed 2 cards in your hand. That's all you needed. And then you just hunted for counter spells. And this was all alongside, like, Overmaster, great idea. How do you beat a counter spell? Force them to wonder what the heck is going on. If they don't know what's going on, if they can't figure out what's going on, then you don't care. Like, they just sit there and they're like, oh, well, I can do this, this, and this, and I can counter their spells. But at the same time, it's like, you can't counter their spells if they play Overmaster, so you have to counter the Overmaster, which is like a free discard spell essentially, except for it was free towards your counters. And if it did hit, it made all of your counters bad. So it was almost like this card, except for it just read if your card is a counter spell, it's worthless. Draw a card. And that's where like discard became very, very good. That's why the bug deck does very, very well against the show and tell decks. You know, who cares if they have an Overmaster? If they only have 3 copies of show and tell in their main and one in their board that they have to Burning Wish for, that's 4 cards that you have to hit. Essentially 7 if you count the Burning Wishes. So suddenly things like Surgical Extraction on show and tell, that's not the greatest play in the world. They still got the one in the board, but suddenly they're down to only 4 copies in their deck, and they have to put essentially 2 turns into it. It's not very good if you have excess discard. So that's where the show and tell deck preyed on everybody. Everybody was like, "There's no way, this is just a terrible, terrible thing." And there we go. Like, oh my god, we're really gonna watch Belcher play. That's not Belcher. What's going on? Yeah. Um, I'm confused. We'll find out. you know, Everybody's playing all these blue decks, and so the show and tell decks are just like, I do exactly what you're trying to do. I play all this discard. I'm going to win this match because you can't actually keep up. And it was true. Like, you had Miracles versus Stoneblade. Stoneblade's trying to get in with a bunch of guys, and Miracles will put them all to the bottom. And then you had show and tell versus Stoneblade. It's like, I have infinite time to get everything I want together. Wait, what? I mean, you don't have 20 turns versus Tess. What makes you think you have that versus Miracles? Or versus Show and Tell? Whereas a card like this is like, yeah, I may only have this much time, but you're not going to get to interact as much as you think you are. That's interesting. Um, and the reason why the discard was such a big hit, yep, was such a big hit was because it did damage it so much. It damaged everything in the show and tell decks. It's like, oh well, you have two show and tells in hand, but you have one piece. Find another piece. And granted, there were a lot of pieces, but I mean, if you drop the wrong piece, you dropped the wrong piece and got beat. So, okay, we're gonna find out what's going on now. Never mind, I know what's going on. What am I saying? At this point, yeah. Comment on Tess. Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge. Wink, wink. Um, yeah, discard. So now with the bug decks, not only can they take that show and tell, but they can take the show and tell or a counter and make the show and tell that much worse. Like you're basically stripping their protection. Um, and that's where it sits. Against other decks, you had this great removal spell and Abrupt Decay where it was like, okay, Abrupt Decay is awesome, but now you're also pairing that with Liliana, so it's like, okay, you're killing everything. Well, that works great with Deed. Why not? Liliana can't be hit by Deed. I mean, what do you have to worry about? I think this is a guy that I played. Oh my god, what's going on? Two ley lines off the opener. This is crazy. Yeah, this is a guy I played against earlier. Um, so how do you beat it? Like everybody's probably wondering, like, okay, well, what do you do then? Getting started in the format. And the answer is simple: beat up their mana base. Look at Legacy these days. Wizards does not like LD. It does not like land destruction. Ponza is an old deck that did very very well, and it was LD. And Wizards doesn't like LD because new players don't like LD. It's not great for them. That's okay. That's gonna be pretty awkward. I hope you have a plan B. Um, you don't see Wildfire anymore. You don't see. I mean, Stone Rain costs 4. A card that was printed in Alpha. It wasn't overpowered. It wasn't in any way, shape, or form really a good card in most situations. I mean, Pillage. Pillage could hit an artifact. It cost 1 red red. You mean to tell me that in the first, like, what, Pillage was Alliances? In the first, God, yeah, I can't think of how what the difference between, or the time frame between Alpha and Alliances was. But there were people playing Magic, and there were people doing things with these cards. I mean, you even reprinted it. We'll go up into like 7th and 8th edition, because I believe Pillage was reprinted then. Like, that's still a standard. It wasn't overpowered then. What's the problem with having a three costed LD spell? I mean, we're playing Battle Cruiser Magic where formats are defined within the first month because there's so many large tournaments. What's wrong with the little LD? Is it because new players don't like it? Because new players eventually turn into old players, and if you're worried about the retention, old players mentor new players. They will show them the gloriousness of LD, and then we won't have to play Battle Cruiser Magic at every large event in Standard. I mean, in Legacy, fine. People, because of Standard, because there are so many Standard players, they aren't used to seeing like Wasteland blow up a land and that being a legitimate strategy. Lands, which has done actually pretty well. Even Death and Taxes, using the Mangara combo to take out control decks, which, by the way, side note, the SCG commentators were entirely wrong. The matchup versus from what is it? Death and Taxes to Miracles is terrible for the Miracles player. If you want to know why, any vial, like you have to, if you resolve the vial, if you resolve, if you get a Caracas down and you resolve a Mangara, or you get a Cavern Souls on humans, notice that there are 8 cards, Cavern and Vial there, that they have to deal with. You will LD them out. That is a deck that requires mana. It cannot win without mana. And if your LD plan goes into play, they're SOL. And considering that that deck runs an excessive number of Caracas, an excessive number of Mangara, Flicker Wisp, Vials, and the other thing, chances are they're going to win. They're just going to LD them out. Old lists used to run Cataclysm, which would put everybody back to one of pretty much everything. You had one of it, all the old permanents. By old, I mean non-planeswalker. And you could pick one of all of them. And everything else is just blown up. You'd keep Vile, Caracas, Mangara. take out your team. So that is a bad matchup. Yeah, my side note completely derailed me. Uh, so, yeah. Oh, beating up on lands. Um, on mana bases more specifically. The bug decks are building their mana bases just like the rug decks. I mean, the control list that I saw, the control list that I saw last, this guy sacrifices to himself. I guess he just wanted a life. Um, so the control decks had a couple basics, which is fine. I mean, Nick Fit runs a ton of basics, aka Real Rock. Um, and other decks run basics as well. So I mean, it's not. Oh, okay, Mighty Quinn. Um, so we have Mighty Quinn versus some black deck. Probably Sand Black Zombies, which Mighty Quinn should just absolutely destroy. Just FYI. And this is the best thing you can do because black discard has a hard time taking out black creatures. Um, it's just a side note if you've never noticed that. Nice. That actually looks cool. Um, where was I? So you've got a couple basics in those ones. The more temple-based ones are running the rug land base, which, I mean, if you manage to pull off a waste lock against them, congratulations. I mean, there aren't very many ways to do it anymore. Nobody's really playing Loam. Um, I definitely tell people not to just play aggro Loam because of show and tell decks. I mean, if you run into one of those, you're done. That is as bad as the lands matchup. And you can ask Pat McGregor. He loves playing aggro Loam. That was his pet deck. He's from the area. And this game just ended. We'll go find something else. Lands versus. We'll go this one. Lands versus aggro Loam was very unfavorable. This is a 12 post deck, by the way. Very unfavorable for. Yeah, we actually got two real decks. Um, oh, cool. I wonder if I wonder if he's recording. This isn't the 12 post deck. This is something else. This guy actually does record. I'll try and put a link to his channel here in my page. I've got him on listed off on my page, so hopefully we'll be able to help you find something there. This is a Genesis Wave combo, if you're wondering. It looks like he's had a pretty rough start and started off very low on cards, but I mean that's essentially what it is. Uh, and his opponent has all the wastelands in the world. It was bad for it because all that it did was the same thing that Agrolome did without an assault, but except for it also beat up on Agrolome's mana base in a way that Agrolome couldn't keep up. I mean, one land per turn, that's the rule for Magic. Lands breaks that rule. Exploration adds you another land. If you're able to double waste somebody who can only put in one land per turn, if you're able to ghost quarter lock somebody who can only put in one land per turn and you're able to put in two, you're gonna win. Like, there's no way to deny that. So Agrolum's matchup got a lot worse, and Land's matchup got a lot better. I mean, Surgical Extraction was great for Agrolum. It gave them a chance to fight off that for a little bit. And then now you have Show and Tell, which, I mean, Show and Tell, if you Show and Tell in Assault, example of Assault, that is not as impressive as Show and Telling in Emrakul, who requires you to have 8 lands in hand to kill. It wasn't as impressive as even like dropping in Gristlebrand, where it's like, okay, well, I'm going to spend these 4 lands in hand that I've been building up to shoot you to kill your demon. Oh, you're just going to draw cards. Okay, well, maybe I can go off this turn. And if not, you lost the game. I mean, the sneak attack show and tell decks caused issues for Agrolum. It caused Agrolum to have to play discard. Best way to fight a show and tell deck, by the way, if you didn't realize. Um, so you've got a situation now where there's a deck that's been pushed out, and the bug decks are coming in, and people are now starting to realize that, hey, look, these show and tell decks, they're not very good against discard. Let's run some discard. These Maverick decks, well, we've got a ton of removal for them. We've got sweepers for them that are completely blank for us. How on earth do we worry about all this stuff? Am I recording this still? Wow, I've been rambling for 15 minutes. Um, and the Miracles decks, they're having trouble keeping up with the bug decks as well. And it's because suddenly there's a new angle to have to fight, or to not to fight, to defend against. Everything's not just creatures running on the ground. By the way, if you didn't know that Miracles had a bad matchup versus Burn, now you know. This is the only card that really saves them in that matchup, and it's traditional blue-white decks over history. Um, when I say it's traditional, I mean they're cracking jokes on the side. I'm sorry. The comment was, I've got you on a 17 turn clock. Um, I mean blue white, not counterbalance. Counterbalance, if you can stick this against a burn deck, you're usually in pretty good shape. But you have to stick it, you have to make it work. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. Um, that's just how that goes. There's really, it's kind of sucky at times. I mean, I wish I could say it's not or something else, but it really is kind of sucky at times. Ooh, Garrett Wildspeaker. Um, so you've got a new form of attack that the Miracle decks may be having trouble with. Most likely are. And I mean, Abrupt Decay cuts this as an option out. So, I mean, if you really want to play something, play Misdirection over your Forts of Will right now. Misdirect back their Thoughtseize because they have to reveal their. I don't think you can actually do Thoughtseize now that I think about it. Um, let's go check. This game isn't going anywhere. Let's see. Thoughtseize. And no, I'm not a very good typer if you're wondering. That was all luck staring at the... Okay, player. I know duress does not. If you try to misdirect a duress, you're going to have a very, very hard time because of this keyword right here. Opponent. Well, let's get back to the match. But, I mean, if they have to reveal their hand, then both players get to see it. It's not like Dryad or not Dryad. Wow, Dryad Arbor. Yeah, he's just on my screen. Vendalion Click, where Vendalion Click says look at target player's hand, they reveal a card. So like when you click yourself, the reason you don't have to actually show your plan or show your hand is because let me adjust a little bit. Is because the only card that it actually explicitly says that you have to reveal is the card that you're going to make them put to the bottom, the non-land card, and that's if you pick one. So, I mean, if you could misdirect a click, I guess will bendering it works, then the only card that you ever have to show is the card that's picked if you pick one. And if you're misdirecting your own or will bending your own click, something's wrong. You should have made that choice correctly, or they've got a will bender of their own, in which case we are playing the most awkward game of Magic ever. Um, I haven't seen that since it was legal in Standard, by the way. Oh, where did we go? Where did we go? So many random tangents. By the way, this is actually how the thought process in my head works most of the time, so surprise. Um, thinking. So, yeah, discard encounters. There's a balance. LD needed in the format beat decks like this and this essentially. Um, New players coming back in. So how do you beat it? Blah blah blah. Yeah, I think that's pretty much a lot of what I wanted to cover here. I'm not going to actually post this as a public on my YouTube channel. If you want this video, you're actually going to have to check the blog, and I will deal with that there. Um, yeah, I will deal with that there. I hope everybody's had a good time here. I'm going to go ahead and head out. You guys don't get to actually find out how this match ends unless they concede here in the next couple of seconds, which I don't think he's going to. Check out Magic Lover. I forgot his actual username on YouTube, but I will make sure to where I post this on my blog, I will make sure to leave a comment leading you there, and on the YouTube page in case you snuck in from the blog, I will make sure that you can see it from there. Alright, everybody. I hope that you had a good time. I hope that I didn't drive anybody nuts and was able to keep up with stuff. Um, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, or just want an opinion or a view, please feel free to ask. I would love to rant about other things. No, I'm not going to rant about Standard any more than I already have. That is the one topic that is off limits. And that's because I don't play Standard. Until next time, we love you all dearly and have a good night. Or day, afternoon. In fact, let's just go with Truman. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.